it's about your attitude too. So we're going to just challenge all those fun things today. But first, we will start in our child's pose. So please come to your knees. If you'd like to place a blanket or some cushion under your knees, you can. And in this child's pose, let's let our knees and ankles be in line. So we don't want to take our knees out too wide. Sit your hips back to your heels. Walk your hands forward and allow your forehead to drift toward the mat. And if you would like to use a block or a blanket under your forehead to bring the mat a little closer, please do that. And we will start by tuning in to our breath. Maybe allow your eyes to close and just begin to notice. Become curious. Where do you feel your breath? If your breath cannot open and expand in the front side of your body, then how do you consciously allow your backside body to make room for that full breath? And as you are tuned in, allow your breath to deepen. Allow your inhales to grow longer. Fill up your whole back body, even all the way down to the area where your kidneys are, your lower back. And allow your exhales to bring everything all the way back in. Maybe you sink a little deeper into that child's pose. And allow your inhales and exhales to mirror each other. So that if you're breathing in for a count of 4, make sure that you're breathing out for the same amount of time. And you might begin to channel some air through the back of your throat so that you can hear your breath as it comes in and goes out. You can feel your breath in the back of your throat. And right now, commit to this breath, to this deep rhythm. As we move and as we build our heat, build that fire that's going to transform, your breath can be a really strong anchor for keeping you here and in the moment and in your commitment. With your arms extended out in front of you, walk your fingertips away so that your arms are really lengthening, and maybe lift your palms up off the mat with your fingertips pulling away. And then pull your shoulders energetically back toward your hips and allow that opening right under your shoulder blades, maybe along the sides of your body, the sides of your shoulder blades. And on your next inhale, pull your torso forward. Keep your hands where they are. Pull your torso forward. Keep your nose really close to the mat as you pull forward. Eventually you'll come off of your forearms and inhale up. Press up into an arched back, belly dipping toward the mat into your cow pose. As you exhale, round your spine up. Feel your shoulder blades pulling away from each other. And on the same exhale, sit your hips back to your heels. As you inhale, pull forward, nose close to the mat. Inhale up into your cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone, sit your hips back to your heels, and keep going. Coming forward, staying low on your inhale, lifting up into your cow. Exhaling to round your spine up, sit your hips back. Follow your breath. And as you take these motions, know you bring the intensity, you bring the level that you need right now. You can glide through this like it's nothing, and if that's what you need, that's fantastic. Or you can turn it on. And the next time you press up and exhale, come to a neutral spine. Good, so we're in our neutral spine, hips over our knees, shoulders right over our hands. As you inhale, lift your right hand up to the ceiling and reach. You're opening to the side. As you exhale, guide that hand behind the right hand. Bring your shoulder toward the mat. If your shoulder doesn't come all the way to the mat, that's okay. Press the mat away from you with this left hand. So you're opening into your twist. And right here, check in with your hips. Your hips really are going to want to pull over to the left side. Try to keep them centered. Good. Breathe here. Keep pressing the mat away with that left hand. On your next inhale, press into the mat. Lift that right hand up, twisting open. And then bring that hand back to the mat. As you inhale here, dip your belly down into your cow pose. And exhale, round your spine up into your cat. And bring yourself back to a neutral spine. On your next inhale, left arm up toward the ceiling. Pause here, opening up here. On your next exhale, thread that hand behind that wrist. Bring your shoulder toward the mat. Check in with your hips, keep them honest, and then begin to press the mat away from you with this right hand. And breathe. On your next inhale, press the mat away. Lift that left hand up toward the ceiling, open up, and then exhale, bring that hand down to the mat. Inhale, dip your belly down into your cow. Exhale, round your spine up. And then bring yourself back to center, back to a neutral spine. Check in and make sure that your shoulders are right over your hands. Let's do a little wrist hygiene here. Make sure that you spread your fingers wide. Your index fingers are parallel to the long edges of your mat and they're pointing forward. Now press into the knuckles of your forefinger and your thumb. So you are really bringing a little cupping motion to your palms. Your palms are not flat against the mat. There's a little space between your palm and the mat. As you inhale, extend your right leg out on the mat behind you with your toes tucked. Then pick up that foot, cross it over the left leg. So it's off of the mat, cross behind you. Now inhale to lengthen your spine forward. Pull your shoulders back away from your ears. And then press into that right hip. That's the hip of the extended leg. And then turn to look back at those toes that are on the mat there, or off the mat. Press through your heel. Remember to lengthen that spine. Notice where you feel sensation here. When you're ready, bring that foot back to center. Bring the knee back to the mat. Inhale into your cow pose. Exhale up to your cat. And come back to neutral. Extend your left leg out behind you. And then cross it over the back, the right. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Pull your shoulders back away from your ears. And then press into that left hip. Turn to look at your left toes. Keep breathing. When you're ready, come back to center. Bring that knee back to the mat. Inhale to your cat pose. Exhale up into your, exhale up into your cat. And then come back to neutral. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, and find your downward facing dog. And take a moment, focus, look at what your body is asking you to do right now. Whether it's walking it out, swaying your hips. This is your downward facing dog, your opportunity to tune in and give your body what it's asking for. One more breath here. Then bend your knees, bring your knees to the mat, and make your way to a seat on the mat. When your bottom finds the mat, keep your knees bent. Let the soles of your feet find the mat about hip width distance apart. And you can hold on to your shins or the backs of your thighs right here. But what we're going to do is really inhale to lengthen the spine and lift the chest and focus on a strong back. We want to avoid rounding. Look at my lower back. We want to avoid rounding in to the lower back. We want to help create a strong and long spine here. Shoulder blades pull back away from you, away from the front. Lift that chest. Breathe here. And if you're holding on to your knees or your shins, try to see if you can keep this strength in your back and hold on to the backs of your thighs. You can stay here. There's a lot of work to do right here. Or if you like, you can lift that right foot up off the mat so that it's parallel, and you can add some action to your foot. So you can flex it or point it or press the balls of your feet forward. And then bring that right foot back to the mat. Now let's lift the left foot. We're still focusing on that long, strong back. And your back will lean. You will find an angle a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. But we don't want to round into that low back. And bring that foot back to the mat. Now you know what's coming. Let's lift both legs. Keep that back long and strong. Yes. And you can continue to hold on to the backs of your thighs if you like, or you can release your arms and hold them forward. Oh no. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Can you guys see me? Hear me? Okay. Whew. All right. So let's come back into our Navasana. Thank you for sticking with me. I don't know what that was. All right, back into our Navasana, sitting on your sit bones, both legs lifted, back long and strong. Extend your arms out in front of you if you like, and we'll breathe right here. On your next exhale, lower your left foot down to a hover above the mat, lengthen it long, and then inhale, bring it back in. Exhale, right leg lengthens to a hover. Bring it back in, and keep going with your breath, switching legs. If you're shaking, it means you're trying. Keep going. Use your breath here. And the next time you have done an equal number on both sides, let's extend both legs down and lower your back halfway down to a hover. And then exhale, come back to center. Inhale, lengthen out to a hover. Exhale, back to center. One more time, lengthen out to a hover and hold here. Hold. And exhale, come back to center. You can allow your feet to find the mat. Take a moment, wrap your arms around your knees and round your spine back. And we're really allowing everything to curl now. Releasing that lower back. You can rock a little bit back and forth on your hips to feel that out. Now let's come to our hands and knees. Back into our tabletop. If you like, you can take a cat-cow here. And then let's tuck your toes. Lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Really lengthen those legs. Press your heels down toward the mat. They don't have to touch the mat. Even if they're not touching the mat, mine are not, lift your toes. See how that activates your legs. See how it changes this pose. And on your next inhale, begin to walk your feet up to the top of the mat. Find your forward fold. Take a moment here. You can hold on to your elbows, sway back and forth. Feeling it out. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. Fold on your exhale. Bend your knees deeply. Sit your hips down and back. And as you inhale, lift your torso and your arms. This is our Utkatasana, our fierce pose. Your feet are hip-width distance apart. Your knees are energetically squeezing toward each other. Your thighs might be shaking. I am shaking today. On your next inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Exhale here. Inhale, lift your arms all the way up. Sit your hips down and back again into your Utkatasana. Feel your lower belly pulling in, your hip points pulling in toward each other. And as you exhale, fold all the way forward. Lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step both feet to the back of the mat. Inhale forward to the tips of your toes. Exhale, lower down halfway to your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. As you inhale, lift your right leg up to the ceiling and really lift, 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 lift. Exhale, bend your knee, bring your foot forward, step your feet between your hands. Keep your back heel lifted, but you may want to step that foot out to the right, to the left a little bit to widen your stance. As you inhale, come and lift your fingertips to just a hover above the mat. And then inhale all the way up into your high lunge. Lift that back heel so that the sole of your foot is perpendicular to the floor. Lift, and then here, pull in that lower belly. Knit those ribs together. Be strong in your torso. Keep breathing. Shoulders pulled down away from your ears. On your next exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Step your front foot to the back. Come to plank. Inhale forward, exhale, lower down halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up to the ceiling and reach it. Oh, reach it so hard. And then bend that knee. Step that foot between your hands. Back heel stays lifted. Maybe widen your stance. Inhale, fingertips to a hover above the mat. Lengthen your spine here. And on your next inhale, torso and arms rise. High lunge, Bhanurasana. Back heel lifts up. Back leg is strong. Torso is strong. Big deep breaths here. On your next exhale, hands come to the mat, front foot steps back to plank. Inhale forward, exhale, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale here, open mouth, side out. As you inhale, lift up to the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward, and you can step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale up, halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees deeply, hips down and back. Inhale, torso and arms rise. Utkatasana. And breathe here. One more breath right here. Inhale and exhale. Fold all the way forward. Inhale all the way up to standing. Hands to your heart. Check in with your feet. Find your feet hip width distance apart. Lift all your toes. Spread your toes wide. Press the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound into the mat. And gently allow your toes to come and find the mat. Start to place some weight into your right leg. Slowly begin to lift that left foot off the mat. Cross your left ankle on top of that right knee. So we're in a figure four right here. And you can stay right here and work on your balance right here. Or you can start to bend that standing knee and sit your hips down and back, finding your Ardha Utkatasana. And if you fall out, it's that self-discipline that brings you back in. Really sit your hips nice and back. Keep breathing. You can keep your hands at your heart center or at your waist, wherever you are going to find the most grounding. And when you are ready, lengthen that leg. Release the other foot to the mat and walk it out. Inhale, both arms all the way up. Bringing your attention to your feet. Bring your hands to your heart center. Place the weight into your left leg now. Cross that right ankle over the knee. Breathe here. And then decide if you're going to bend your knee and start to sit your hips down and back. And decide where your arms need to be this morning. Keep breathing. One more breath here. And then lengthen that leg, release the foot to the mat. Beautiful. Inhale your arms all the way up. As you exhale, take a slight bend in your knees. Reach all the way forward and slowly fold forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands, step both feet back to downward facing dog. Pause here. Really tilt your pelvis so that your sit bones are really reaching toward the ceiling. Yes. As you inhale, lift your right leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, bend your knee, come forward, bring that knee to the right elbow and pause. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, knee to nose, round your spine. See if that knee can touch that nose. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, cross your knee under, knee finds left elbow. Pause. Inhale, up and back. Again, exhale, knee to right elbow. Inhale, up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, knee to elbow, opposite elbow. Inhale, up and back. As you exhale, step that foot through between your hands. Back heel stays lifted. Inhale, hands up to a hover. And torso and arms rise all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart. Start to place weight into that front foot. You might step that back foot up a little bit. And then begin to lean your torso forward. Back leg lifts. Find your warrior three. Back leg is strong. Find your balance, build your balance. You can take your arms wherever they will serve you today. And as you're ready, slowly bend into that front knee. Let your hands find the mat. Lower the crown of your head. Make sure, look back at your back foot. Make sure all 5 toes are pointed down. And then begin to lift that leg into your standing splits. Keep breathing. Bend that front knee, tap your back toes down. Plant your hands, step your front foot back to your downward facing dog. Keep breathing. On your next inhale, lift your left leg up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, knee finds left elbow. Pause here. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, up and back. Cross that knee under your torso. Find the right elbow. Inhale, up and back. Knee to left elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knee to opposite elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend that knee, step it through between your hands. Back heel stays lifted. Inhale, torso. Let your fingers hover above the mat. And then inhale all the way up. High lunge. Bring your hands to your heart. Start to place the weight into that front leg. Back leg might step forward just a touch. Now we begin to lean the torso forward. Lift that back leg. Find your warrior three. And I have to stop talking if I'm going to balance. As you're ready, let your fingers find the mat. Crown of your head reaches toward the mat. All 5 toes of that back foot turn down, and then lift that back leg. Keep breathing. And as you're ready, bend that top leg, bring that foot to the top of the mat to find your forward fold. Pause here. Find your breath. And when you're ready, inhale up halfway. Pause in this inhale right here. In this halfway lift. And on your next inhale, arms reach all the way up. Hands to your heart. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Right foot stays at the top of the mat for now. Now, lift that right foot. Start to send it back. And as you bring it back, place the outside edge of that right foot on the mat. Come onto your right hand. Open up into your side plank. You can stack your feet if you like. You can keep your feet scissored if you like. Take this where you need it to go. Lift your hips. Maybe that top arm reaches forward to the top of the mat. And breathe. Slowly begin to turn your torso to the mat. Come into your plank here. Pause here. Now let's roll over onto the outside edge of that left foot. Maybe you decide to stack your feet as you open up into your side plank. And breathe. Maybe top arm reaches up and over. And then let's turn back to plank, back to the mat. Lift your hips up and back. Find your downward facing dog. Deep breath here. Deep inhale and open mouth. Sigh it out. Inhale, right leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, step it through between your hands. Dial your back heel down. Bring both hands inside that front foot. So your torso is at an angle. It's kind of facing off to the top right corner. Top left corner. Bring your hands to the mat so that they are right under your shoulders. So you're a little diagonal. Now, first, keeping that back heel down, pressing into the outside edge of that back foot. Bend into that front knee. Sink your hips a little bit here. Now, press your hands away. Keep that front knee bent. Press your hands away. Arch your spine up. Feel your shoulder blades pulling away from each other. Keep breathing. Keep pressing into that back foot. And maybe you press into your hands and maybe you lift that front foot. You can rest that knee against your upper arm. And set it back to the mat. Now we will inhale our left arm forward and up and open up into our warrior two. Good. Take a minute, check in with your foundation. That front knee is pushing out to the side so you can see your first two toes. Bring your hands to your ribs and turn your torso so that your ribs are facing the long edge of the mat. Good. Now, bring your hands, clasp your fingers behind your head. Press your head back into your hands. Keep those elbows spread wide. Bring your shoulders away from your ears. And as you inhale, lean your torso back. So your back elbow is reaching for the back edge of the mat. And breathe. And as you exhale, lean your torso forward as if the front elbow was reaching in the direction of your knee. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. One more with your breath. And then come back to center. Extend your arms out into your warrior two arms. Let yourself gaze over those front fingertips. Pull your shoulder blades toward each other. On your next exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat and then walk your hands over to the long side of the mat. Turn your toes so your toes are facing the long edge of the mat and your heels are going to come in. So now your feet are kind of at a diagonal. Press your hips, your knees are bent. Press your hips back behind you. Really feel that lengthen in your spine. Good. Hips are really pressed back. I'll turn sideways so I have an idea. Hips are really pressed back. Maybe sink into your knees just a little bit more. Maybe you concentrate on rolling to the outside edges of your feet. So push those knees back. And you can stay right here if you would like. You can use your hands to push your knees back a little bit more. Or you can hold onto your ankles. Use your elbows to push your knees back. And you can start to sway gently side to side. Bring your hands to the mat right underneath your eyes. Lengthen your legs. Turn your toes in and your heels out. Inhale, lengthen up halfway. Really push those sit bones out behind you. And as you exhale, fold forward. Find your wide-legged forward fold. Your hands can come to hold your ankles or your legs as you fold forward. Bring your hands back underneath your eyes. Inhale to lift up halfway. Turn your heels in, your toes out. Now heels in and toes out. Hips still pushing back. And as you inhale, start to bend into your right knee, lengthen your left leg. Coming over to the right. As you exhale, bend your left knee, lengthen your right leg. Over to the left. Inhale, go to the right. Exhale to the left. Keep going. In your Skandasana, you can keep your hands on the mat if you like, and walk them back and forth with you. Or maybe you bring your hands to your chest and lift your torso any amount. And then the next time you bend into that left knee, the back of your mat, pause there, place your hands down, turn all 10 toes to the back of the mat, and then dial that heel down. So we're finding our warrior 2 stance. On the other leg, bring both hands inside that bent knee. Press into the outside edge of that back foot. Line up your hands right underneath your shoulders. Press your hands into the mat. Press your shoulder blades away from each other. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Bring your chest forward, and let's sink your hips a little bit into that bent knee. And now again, press the mat away. Round your spine. Keep your hips nice and low. Maybe bring that back knee to rest against that upper arm. And then when you're ready, you might try to lift that the front foot. And release it. Place that foot back in its warrior 2 position. As you inhale, reach your right arm forward and up, and lift up into your warrior 2. Check your foundation. Check your torso. Turn your ribs to the side. Good. Clasp your hands behind your head. Elbows stay out. Press your head into your hands. Inhale, lean back. Exhale, lean forward. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Keep going. And inhale, back to center. Good. Extend your arms out into your warrior 2. Come on. Okay, good. Okay, come back to center. Come back to center. Extend your arms out into your warrior 2. On your next exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat. Walk your hands along the long edge of your mat all the way back to the front. Guys, I am so sorry. I'm sorry, my friends. Obviously, I'm having internet problems today. Walk your hands all the way back to the front of the mat, and we will meet in downward facing dog. However you choose to get there. Okay. After you find your downward facing dog, bring your knees to the mat and find a seat on the mat. You'll want to grab your blocks on the mat with your legs extended out in front of you. So first, you'll start with your hands on the mat right beside your hips. Flex your toes, flex your feet, pull your toes back towards your chest, and inhale to lift your chest and lengthen your spine. And again, we're going to focus on this nice, long, strong lower back. Really avoid rounding in. Flex your feet, tighten your quads so much that maybe your heels lift up off the mat. If they don't, it doesn't mean anything. They just might lift up off the mat, that's all. This is our staff pose, our Dandasana. Okay, you can release that activation in your quads, and let's hold on to your blocks now. To start, for the first piece, let your blocks be on the lowest height and place them right about the tops of the blocks, right about even with your knees. And then place your hands, your palms flat on those blocks, and lean forward slightly. So your elbows are bent, you're leaning forward a little bit. Now as we do this, I'm gonna tell you to keep leaning forward. You're gonna lean back a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna focus though on continuing to lean forward. So press your hands into the blocks, and as you exhale, lift maybe your left foot off the mat. See if you can lift it. And release. On your next exhale, try to lift the right foot off the mat. And release. And again, try with your left foot. And release. Again, right foot. Now this is an exercise, and a lot of the exercises that we're gonna do right now are seriously the kind of thing that thinking about them makes you stronger. It sounds crazy, but really sometimes your foot may not move at all, but just the work, the effort really is building strength, so stay with it. So if you've lifted one foot and the other foot off the mat, maybe you lean forward and press into your hands and see if you can lift both feet off the mat. And if you can, maybe you cross them and then release them. Okay. Now, let's bring the blocks on the middle height and bring those right by your hips. And if you are familiar with these exercises and you want the lowest height, please, this is your practice. The middle height provides a nice amount of room, and so that's where I'm gonna work today. The tallest height, you can try it, but let's not try it together right now because it's not as steady as we want it to be. So let's try on the middle height. Palms press into the block at your hips, and first we're just gonna press and lift your hips straight up. Pause here. And then you can lower your hips back to the mat. Okay, again, press into the blocks, lift your hips straight up, and now see if you can pull your hips back behind you. You will lean forward. And release back down. My mat is moving with me. Okay, so press your hands into the blocks, lift your hips, maybe pull your heels back. If your hips are pulled back, maybe you see if you can lift one leg and release it. Maybe you see if you can lift the other leg and release it. And then release your hips back down to the mat. As we are pressing into the blocks, naturally, you're gonna find that you're pressing with the heel of your hand, and that is just really gonna hurt our wrists a lot. So even though it's awkward, as you press into the block, really try to press into that index finger knuckle and your thumb knuckle. Try to get some of the weight out of your wrists. Okay, let's come back again. Blocks by your hips, press your hands into the blocks, lift your hips, pull them back. Maybe you've lifted one leg, maybe you've lifted the other leg, maybe you see if you can lift both legs, or just think about it. Good, and then bring your hips back to the mat. Okay, let's try one more time, that one. Let's try lifting both legs again. And if you're lifting both legs isn't for you, work where you are. Press your hands into the blocks, hips lift. Maybe, maybe not today. So you'll notice as you're lifting your legs, whether they're lifting at all or thinking about lifting, the effort is here in your low belly, and it's in these muscles at the tops of your thighs called your psoas. And those are the muscles that connect deep inside from your abdomen to your spine. They go underneath that hole in your pelvis, and they connect your legs to your torso. They're amazing muscles, so that's what we're working on right now. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we will come, I'll turn and face you, come to your knees and sit on your heels. And then you'll bring the blocks right alongside your thighs so that you can press in. And as you press into the blocks, you'll keep the tops of your feet on the mat and see about lifting your knees. You lift your hips and your knees up. Press away and then come back down. And you'll notice that I am rounding my spine, I'm rounding my upper back. So you press into the blocks, lift your hips and lift your knees. Leaning forward. Good. Okay, now when you sit back on your knees, cross one foot into the arch of the other. Okay, so for me it's my left foot is resting inside the arch of my right foot. So press, let's come back to the beginning. Press the blocks into your hands, lift your hips, lift your knees, maybe lift that top foot. Good, and place that one down and see if you can lift the other foot. Good. Play with that for just a moment.